The first thing Maya Santos noticed was that the little girl had stopped trying. Not crying, not complaining, not asking for anything, simply trying. From 20 feet away, through the soft golden light of one of Manhattan's most expensive dining rooms, Maya watched the child lower her hands into her lap after attempting for the third time to communicate with the woman sitting beside her. Nobody else seemed to notice. Crystal glasses caught the light from the chandeliers. Silverware touched porcelain with delicate little sounds. Outside the tall windows, headlights moved along Madison Avenue like ribbons of white and red. Inside, conversations rose and fell beneath soft piano music, the kind designed to be heard without demanding attention. The little girl looked to be 9. Her dark brown hair had been pulled into 2 neat braids, and she wore a navy dress with a white cardigan buttoned all the way to the top. Beside her sat a boy who looked so much like her that Maya immediately knew they were twins. The boy moved his hands, quickly, precisely, American Sign Language. Maya nearly dropped the tray she was carrying. For several seconds, the restaurant disappeared. She no longer heard the piano. She no longer noticed the weight of 3 plates balanced across her forearm. She saw only the boy's hands. "Can we order ourselves?" The woman beside him didn't respond. The boy signed again. "Please." The woman glanced down at her phone. "Just wait, Noah." She had seen him, but she had not listened. Maya forced herself to move. Table 12 was waiting. A couple near the window had requested sparkling water twice. Her manager, Brent Lawson, was already watching the floor with the restless expression he wore whenever the restaurant was busy. Maya delivered the plates. "Wild mushroom risotto," she smiled. "Seared salmon," another smile. "And the vegetable tagliatelle." "Thank you," the older woman at the table said. "You're very welcome." Maya turned away. Her eyes returned immediately to the twins. She had worked at Bellamy House for 11 months, long enough to understand the invisible rules. Never hover around VIP tables, never interrupt another server, never make a wealthy guest feel corrected, and above all, never become memorable for the wrong reason. Brent had explained that during Maya's first week. "People come here because everything feels effortless," he had told the staff. "Your job is to make the evening work without reminding anyone that work is happening." Maya had become extremely good at that. She arrived early. She polished glasses without being asked. She remembered regular customers' preferences. She carried extra pens because the other servers always lost theirs. She rarely complained. At 30 years old, she had developed the quiet efficiency of someone accustomed to solving problems without making them visible. There had been a time when Maya imagined a different life, a classroom, bright walls, children sitting in a semicircle, her hands moving as she explained a story in ASL. That dream now existed in a cardboard box beneath her bed in Queens. Inside it were old textbooks, college notebooks, laminated flashcards, and an acceptance letter from a special education program she had never finished. Life had not collapsed dramatically. That almost made it harder to explain. Her father's small repair business had struggled. Her mother's hours at a neighborhood bakery had been reduced. Rent went up. Bills arrived. Maya started working evenings while studying during the day. Then evenings became doubles. Doubles became missed classes. Missed classes became a semester away. One semester became another. Eventually, Maya stopped saying she was taking a break. She simply said she worked in hospitality. There was dignity in that. She knew it. Her parents knew it. Still, every once in a while, she would open the box beneath her bed and remember the version of herself who had once believed that knowing how to communicate differently might become her life's work. That version of Maya felt very far away. Until tonight. She picked up a water pitcher and crossed toward table 17. The twins were seated at table 4, directly beneath one of the chandeliers. Their companion was perhaps 40, dressed in a pale grey suit with perfectly arranged blonde hair. Maya had heard the hostess call her Ms. Hale, Victoria Hale. The name meant nothing to Maya. The last name on the reservation did. Whitmore. Even people who didn't follow business news knew Alexander Whitmore. His technology company built communication systems used by hospitals, schools, and corporations around the world. Magazine profiles described him as private, disciplined, and almost aggressively uninterested in celebrity culture. Brent had held a staff meeting before service. "Mr. Whitmore may join the table later," he'd explained. "His children are arriving first. I want everything flawless." Everything looked flawless. That was the problem. The tablecloth was spotless, the water glasses were full, the children were dressed beautifully. Victoria Hale had a leather folder beside her plate and a phone in her hand. Yet nobody was asking Noah or his sister what they wanted. Their server, Daniel, approached. "Good evening. Would we like to begin with the burrata or perhaps the roasted squash?" Noah immediately raised his hands. Daniel looked at Victoria. Victoria answered. "They'll have the grilled chicken." The little girl signed. "I don't want chicken." Maya stopped beside a service station, Sophie. She didn't know the girl's name yet, but she understood every movement. "I want pasta." Victoria continued reading the menu. "And nothing with strong spices," Daniel nodded. "Absolutely." The girl signed again. "Pasta." Daniel collected the menus. The girl watched them disappear. Something tightened inside Maya. She knew this feeling. Years earlier, when Maya was 16, she had accompanied her cousin Lena to a doctor's appointment. Lena had been 12. The doctor asked Maya, "Does she sleep well?" Maya signed the question. Lena answered. Before Maya could translate, the doctor asked another question. "Does she have headaches?" Again, he addressed Maya, not Lena. After the appointment, Lena had signed angrily all the way to the parking lot. "Why do people ask you about me when I'm standing there?" Maya had never forgotten it. That evening she went home and spent 3 hours practicing ASL grammar until her wrists hurt. Not because Lena needed a voice. Lena already had one. She needed people willing to look at her while she used it. Maya glanced toward the kitchen. Brent was checking reservations on a tablet. Daniel had disappeared to enter the order. She could walk over. She could sign one sentence. "Hello. Do you need something?" Simple, harmless. But it wasn't her table, and Bellamy House was the best-paying restaurant job she had ever had. Her family no longer depended on her paycheck the way they once had, but Maya still helped with expenses. She had finally built a small savings account. She had health insurance. She had stability. Stability was not glamorous, it was precious. She picked up another tray. Then she saw Sophie touch Victoria's sleeve. Victoria pulled her arm away without looking. "Sweetheart, give me 1 second." Sophie signed. "My notebook." Victoria nodded absently as though she understood. "You're fine." Sophie's hands stopped. Maya looked away. She served table 11. She cleared table 16. She answered a question about whether a sauce contained dairy. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. Each time Maya crossed the dining room, she noticed the twins. Noah kept looking toward the entrance. Sophie grew quieter. Eventually, Noah opened a small notepad and wrote something. He slid it toward Victoria. Victoria was in the middle of a phone conversation. "No, move the meeting to Thursday," she whispered. "Yes, I know Alexander said Wednesday. Move it." Noah pushed the paper closer. Victoria covered the phone. "Noah, please." "Not now." The boy pulled the note back. Maya's chest tightened again. Heather, another server, appeared beside her at the service station. "You okay?" Maya realized she had been staring. "Fine." Heather followed her gaze. "The Whitmore kids?" Maya nodded. "They're deaf." "I figured. They're signing." Heather shrugged slightly. "Maybe the woman understands." "She doesn't." Heather looked at Maya. "How do you know?" Maya hesitated. "I know ASL." Heather blinked. "You do?" "Fluently." "How? Did I not know that?" Maya gave a small smile. "It doesn't exactly come up while describing tonight's soup." Heather laughed, then glanced toward the table. "Maybe you should go over. It's Daniel's section." "So?" "So Brent would have a heart attack." "Brent has a heart attack when someone folds a napkin backward." Maya almost smiled. Then Sophie suddenly stood, not fully, just enough to look beneath the table. She searched near her chair, then beneath Noah's. Her movements became more anxious. Noah signed something to her. "Car?" Sophie nodded urgently. Victoria finally noticed. "What are you doing?" Sophie signed rapidly. "Blue bag, car, notebook, tomorrow." Victoria sighed. I don't know what you're trying to tell me. Sophie repeated it. Victoria shook her head. Sit down. Please. The girl sat. Her face changed. It wasn't anger, it was resignation. That expression moved Maya before thought could catch up. She set down the tray in her hands. Heather saw her. Oh, she whispered. You're doing it. Maya untied nothing, announced nothing, and asked nobody's permission. She simply crossed the room. Each step felt strangely loud despite the thick carpet. When she reached table 4, Victoria looked up. Yes? Maya smiled professionally. I'm sorry to interrupt. We already have a server. I know. Maya turned toward Sophie. Then she raised her hands. The girl's eyes widened. Hello? Maya signed slowly. My name is Maya. Sophie stared. Noah noticed. His entire posture changed. Maya continued. Do you need help? For one suspended second, neither child moved. Then Sophie's hands flew. My blue bag is in the car. My drawing notebook is inside. I need it tomorrow morning. Noah immediately joined. She has a presentation at school. She has been trying to tell Victoria. Maya understood every word. And for the first time that evening, the twins smiled. Not politely, not cautiously, fully. Sophie leaned forward. You sign? Maya smiled. Yes. Where did you learn? My cousin. Is she deaf? Yes. Noah grinned. Is she cool? Maya's smile widened. Very. Victoria stared between them. What exactly is happening? Maya turned toward her. Sophie left a blue bag in the car. Her notebook is inside and she needs it for a school presentation tomorrow. Victoria blinked. That's what she's been trying to say? Sophie's expression immediately hardened. Maya gently signed. I told her. Sophie looked relieved. Victoria reached for her phone. I'll call the driver. The entire problem took less than 30 seconds to solve. 30 seconds. Maya felt something almost painful in the simplicity of it. As she stepped back, Sophie lifted her hands again. Wait. Maya stopped. Sophie signed carefully. You were the first person tonight who asked us. Maya's smile disappeared. Behind her, the restaurant continued moving. Glasses, footsteps, music, conversation. But for Maya, the room became completely silent, because she understood exactly what the little girl meant. And suddenly, 11 months of keeping her head down felt very different. By the time Brent Lawson reached the table, Maya already knew there would be consequences. She saw him coming from across the dining room. His expression was controlled, which was always worse than anger. Brent had spent 20 years working in luxury restaurants, and he had mastered the art of being furious without changing the volume of his voice. Maya, she turned, can I speak with you? Victoria was still on the phone arranging for the driver to return with Sophie's bag. Noah and Sophie watched Brent carefully. Of course, Maya said. Now. The word was quiet. Maya followed him toward the service corridor. Heather passed them carrying a tray and gave Maya a look that said she had seen everything. Brent waited until the kitchen door swung closed behind them. What were you doing? Helping a guest. They are not your guests. Maya kept her voice even. Sophie was trying to explain that she left something important in the car. Daniel is assigned to that table. Daniel doesn't know ASL. Brent paused. You know sign language? Yes. Since there was no good reason to hide it now, Maya added, I'm fluent. Brent looked genuinely surprised for a second. Then his managerial instincts returned. That's not the point. What is the point? The point is that those are Alexander Whitmore's children. We have protocols for high-profile guests. She needed a notebook. I understand that. She had been trying to explain it for nearly 20 minutes. Brent lowered his voice. Maya, you cannot decide to insert yourself into a VIP table because you think you can handle something better than the assigned server. The words landed harder than she expected, not because they were cruel, because part of her understood his position. Restaurants ran on sections, hierarchy and predictability. If every employee abandoned assignments whenever they noticed a problem, chaos followed. But there was something missing from Brent's argument. The children. Did you see them trying to communicate? Maya asked. Brent exhaled. That isn't relevant. It feels relevant. To you. Maya said nothing. Brent rubbed his forehead. Look, I'm not trying to make this bigger than it is. Go back to your section. Let Daniel handle the Whitmore table. Maya nodded. All right. And please don't approach them again unless Daniel or I ask you. Her first instinct was to argue. Instead, she inhaled. Understood. That surprised Brent. Good. Maya returned to work. Table 12 requested coffee. Table 11 wanted dessert menus. A couple celebrating their anniversary asked Maya to take their photograph. She did everything correctly. But something had shifted. Across the room, Sophie's blue bag arrived. The driver carried it inside. The girl hugged it to her chest like treasure. Then she immediately opened it and removed a large, spiral-bound sketchbook. She showed Noah something. He laughed silently. Maya smiled despite herself. Half an hour passed. Then a strange thing happened. Noah began asking Daniel questions. Not verbally, not through Victoria. He signed directly to Daniel. Daniel froze. He glanced toward Maya. Brent noticed. Daniel tried pointing toward the menu. Noah shook his head. He signed again. Daniel looked helpless. Finally, Maya saw him say, "1 second." He crossed the dining room. "Maya." She turned. "What does this mean?" He attempted a sign badly. Maya almost laughed. "Again." Daniel repeated it. "He's asking what's in the chocolate cake." Daniel nodded quickly. "Okay. Chocolate mousse, hazelnut praline, cocoa sponge, vanilla cream." Maya translated the ingredients into ASL from across the room while Daniel watched. Noah immediately shook his head. Then he signed, "No nuts." Maya's expression changed. She walked closer despite Brent's warning. "Daniel, he's saying no nuts." Daniel frowned. "The praline has hazelnuts." Victoria looked up. "They don't have allergies." Noah signed sharply. "I don't like nuts," Maya translated. Victoria sighed. "Fine." Daniel suggested the vanilla tart instead. Noah asked Maya about it. She translated Daniel's answer. For the next several minutes, an accidental communication chain formed. Daniel spoke to Maya. Maya signed to the twins. The twins signed to Maya. Maya spoke to Daniel. It was imperfect. But for the first time that evening, Noah and Sophie were actually choosing their own meal. People began noticing, not dramatically. A woman at the neighboring table watched Maya's hands with quiet curiosity. An elderly man smiled when Sophie laughed. A young couple paused their conversation to observe Noah explaining something. Animatedly, Maya became self-conscious. She wasn't performing. She hated that it might look that way. She stepped back. Noah immediately signed. "Why are you leaving?" "Working," he frowned. "Can you stay?" Maya looked toward Brent. He was already watching. "I have other tables." Sophie raised one hand. "Later?" Maya nodded. "If I can." Sophie smiled. Something warm moved through Maya's chest. She had forgotten how natural ASL felt. Not like translating words, like thinking through movement. Her hands remembered rhythms her mind had neglected. At home, Maya still signed with Lena during family gatherings, but those conversations had become less frequent since Lena moved to Boston for graduate school. The language had never disappeared. Still, using it with the twins awakened something different. Professional instinct, patience, attention, a version of Maya that existed before restaurant schedules and monthly bills had started shaping her decisions. She went back to table 12. When she returned with the coffee, the older man there looked toward the twins. "That was nice of you." Maya hesitated. "Thank you." "You're an interpreter?" "No." "You looked like one." "I studied special education for a while." "For a while?" Maya smiled politely. "Life changed." The man nodded as though he understood more than she intended to reveal. "Life does that." His wife looked up from her tea. "Sometimes it changes back." Maya gave them a small smile and moved away. She didn't think much about the comment. Not yet. At 8:42, the front doors opened. Brent immediately straightened. Two hosts moved almost simultaneously. A man entered wearing a charcoal overcoat over a dark suit. No entourage, no theatrical arrival, no visible security. Yet the staff recognized him instantly. Alexander Whitmore. He was 51, lean, silver, beginning at the temples, with the reserved posture of someone accustomed to being observed and uninterested in encouraging it. His eyes moved across the room. Found the twins. Everything in his face changed. The executive disappeared. The father remained. Noah spotted him. Dad. His hands lifted before Alexander reached the table. Sophie stood. Alexander smiled and signed as he walked. I'm sorry I'm late. Sophie immediately began explaining the blue bag. Alexander listened. Actually listened. He never looked. Away. Maya watched from beside the service station. His signing was fluent, natural, fast. Noah interrupted Sophie. Sophie pushed his shoulder. Alexander laughed. Then Noah pointed across the restaurant, at Maya. Her stomach tightened. Alexander followed the direction of his son's finger. Their eyes met. Maya immediately looked away. Heather appeared beside her. Well. What? I think they're talking about you. They're probably explaining why I interrupted dinner. Heather grinned. Maybe you're about to be banned from every billionaire-owned building in Manhattan. That would make commuting complicated. Heather laughed. At the Whitmore table, Alexander's expression became increasingly serious as the children continued. He looked at Victoria, then Daniel, then Maya again. Victoria began speaking. Maya couldn't hear from where she stood. Alexander listened to her briefly, then shook his head. He signed something to the twins. Sophie answered. Noah answered. Immediately afterward. Alexander went very still. He asked another question. This time both twins pointed toward Maya. Heather whispered, That cannot be good. Brent appeared. Maya? She turned. Yes? Mr. Whitmore would like to speak with you. Her heart sank. Now? Brent gave her a look. Yes, Maya. The billionaire waiting at table 4 means now. She wiped her palms against her apron. Then she crossed the dining room. Alexander stood as she approached. That surprised her. People like Alexander Whitmore rarely stood for waitresses. Miss Santos? Yes, he extended his hand. Alexander Whitmore. I know. The response came out before she could stop it. His mouth moved slightly. Fair enough. Maya shook his hand. Noah signed. Tell her. Sophie nodded enthusiastically. Alexander glanced at them. I'm told you spoke with my children. Maya felt Brent standing somewhere behind her. Yes. In ASL. Yes. And you helped Sophie explain what she needed from the car. Yes. Alexander paused. Why? The question confused her. I'm sorry. Why did you go to their table? Maya looked at Noah, then Sophie. Because they were trying to tell someone something. Alexander waited. Maya continued. And nobody understood. That happens frequently. I noticed. There was no accusation in her voice. Alexander seemed to hear one anyway. He studied her. Then he asked quietly, What did Sophie say to you after you helped her? Maya looked toward the girl. Sophie was watching. Maya hesitated. That I was the first person tonight who asked them directly. Alexander's jaw tightened slightly. He looked away. For several seconds, the billionaire said nothing. Then Sophie signed. It's true. Alexander sat down slowly. Something about the movement made Maya realize this conversation was not going where she had expected. He looked at Victoria. Did they try to communicate with you? Victoria shifted. Of course. They were excited and the restaurant was busy. There was some confusion. Noah immediately signed. Not confusion. Alexander's eyes returned to his son. Noah continued. She kept telling us to wait, Sophie added. Everyone did. Alexander closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, his attention returned to Maya. Would you mind sitting with us for a few minutes? Maya looked down at her uniform. I'm working. Brent stepped forward instantly. It's completely fine. Maya resisted the urge to look at him. 10 minutes earlier, she had violated protocol. Now the protocol apparently included sitting with billionaires. Alexander noticed the exchange. I don't want to cause trouble. You're not, Brent said quickly. Maya knew that was not entirely true, but she pulled out the empty chair. Sophie moved closer immediately. Noah smiled. Alexander waited until Maya sat. Then he raised his hands and signed. My children would like to talk to you. Not through me. With you. Maya looked at the twins. Something inside her softened. She lifted her hands. Okay. Noah's first question was immediate. Why did you stop being a teacher? Maya froze. She looked at Alexander. He looked equally surprised. I didn't tell them that. She looked back at Noah. How do you know I wanted to teach? Noah pointed toward her hands. You sign like our teacher. Sophie shook her head. Better. Noah objected. Different. They began debating. Maya laughed. She couldn't help it. It was the kind of laugh that surprised the person making it. Alexander watched her, not like a businessman examining an employee, like a father watching his children become themselves around someone they had known for less than an hour. And Maya had no idea yet that the most important interview of her life had already begun. Maya had forgotten how children could turn 5 minutes into an entire world. Noah wanted to know everything. Where had she learned ASL? Did her cousin live nearby? Did Maya like basketball? Could she cook Filipino? Food. Did she know how to make lumpia? Was Queens actually bigger than Manhattan? Sophie was quieter, but her questions went deeper. Why had Maya stopped studying? Did she miss teaching? Did hearing people ever make Maya tired? That last question caught her off guard. Sometimes Maya signed. Sophie smiled knowingly. Me too. Alexander sat back, allowing the conversation to happen without controlling it. That impressed Maya more than his money did. Many hearing parents of deaf children learned enough sign language to give instructions. Few allowed themselves to become secondary in a conversation. Alexander seemed perfectly comfortable being unnecessary. At one point, Noah asked Maya whether she had ever visited California. When Maya said no, Noah began describing San Diego so quickly that even Alexander laughed. Slow down. Noah shook his head. You slow down. Alexander raised both hands in surrender. Maya smiled. The tension that had surrounded the table earlier was gone. Victoria remained seated several feet away, now unusually quiet. Eventually, Alexander spoke. May I ask you something personal? Maya glanced at the children. As long as it's not more personal than Noah asking how much rent costs in Queens. Noah grinned. Alexander smiled. Why did you stop studying? Maya's instinct was to give the polished answer. Family obligations, changed priorities, different path, the phrases she used whenever former classmates asked what happened, but Sophie was watching her. For some reason, Maya didn't want to lie in front of the girl. My family needed help. Alexander nodded. My father owned a small electronics repair shop. Business got difficult. My mother was working early mornings at a bakery. I was studying and working evenings. She folded her hands. At first, I thought I could do everything. Could you? For a while. And then? Maya shrugged gently. I started missing classes. Then I took a semester off. After that, another. Alexander did not interrupt. I kept telling myself I would go back when things became easier. Did they? Eventually. But you didn't go back. Maya smiled without humor. No. Why? That question was harder, because the truth no longer involved money. At some point, returning became scarier than leaving. Alexander leaned back. Maya looked at the tablecloth. When you step away from something for long enough, you start wondering whether you were ever as good at it as you remember. Sophie's hands moved. You are good. Maya looked up. The girl signed again. Very good. Maya's throat tightened slightly. Thank you. Alexander watched the exchange. What exactly were you studying? Special education with a focus on deaf and hard-of-hearing students. His eyebrows rose. You weren't simply taking ASL classes? No. How far did you get? Almost 3 years. Alexander looked genuinely surprised. What happened to your credits? Most should still be transferable. Should be? I haven't checked recently. How recently? Maya gave him a look. He understood. Years. Years. Noah interrupted. Go back. Maya smiled. It's not quite that simple. Why? She thought about explaining tuition, schedules, confidence, work responsibilities. Instead, she signed. Adults make simple things complicated. Noah nodded solemnly. Alexander laughed. Unfortunately true. A server brought tea. Maya instinctively reached for the pot. Alexander stopped her. You're sitting. She looked at him. So? So let someone serve you for 5 minutes. The sentence made her uncomfortable, not because it was rude, because she couldn't remember the last time she had sat in Bellamy House without having something to do. Daniel poured the tea. Maya thanked him. He gave her a supportive nod. Alexander turned toward his children. Would you two give me a few minutes with Ms. Santos? Immediately Noah frowned. Why? Because adults occasionally need to complicate simple things. Noah rolled his eyes. Sophie laughed silently. Victoria offered to take them toward the restaurant's small lounge near the entrance. Neither child moved. Alexander noticed. His expression changed. I'll come with you. He stood, walked them himself to the lounge, waited until they had settled with Sophie's sketchbook and Noah's tablet, then returned. Maya noticed Victoria remained behind. Alexander sat. Victoria has been helping coordinate the children's schedule for 4 months, he explained. Victoria corrected him. Almost 5. 5. Maya sensed tension. Alexander continued. She handles school transportation, extracurricular activities, tutors, appointments and several other things that would overwhelm most people. Victoria straightened slightly. She is very organized. I try to be. Alexander nodded. But she doesn't know ASL. Victoria's face tightened. I'm learning. How much? I completed the introductory course you arranged. Alexander signed a simple sentence. What did Noah ask for dessert? Victoria stared. Alexander waited. She looked toward Maya. Maya remained still. After several seconds, Victoria said, I'm not comfortable being tested at dinner. Alexander's voice remained calm. Neither are my children comfortable having conversations translated by strangers. Victoria inhaled. I have never claimed to be fluent. I know. I coordinate their lives. I was hired to manage logistics. Alexander nodded. And you do that well. The unexpected compliment softened the moment. This is not about embarrassing you. Victoria glanced toward Maya. It feels somewhat like that. Maya finally spoke. I don't think anyone is trying to embarrass you. Victoria looked at her. Maya continued carefully. ASL takes time. Nobody should expect fluency after one introductory course. Victoria seemed surprised by her defense. But, Maya added, the problem tonight wasn't really that you didn't know ASL. Alexander watched closely. What was it? You stopped asking. Victoria's expression changed. Maya kept her tone gentle. When Sophie realized you didn't understand, there were other options. She could write. You could use a phone. You could ask someone whether any employee knew ASL. Victoria looked away. She was getting frustrated. So were you. Yes, that's understandable. Victoria looked back. Maya continued. But when adults get frustrated, children often assume they are the problem. The sentence hung between them. No accusation, no cruelty, just truth. Victoria's shoulders lowered. I thought she was being impatient. She thought nobody cared what she was saying. Victoria glanced toward the lounge. For the first time that night, Maya saw something other than professional composure in her face. Regret, quiet and uncomfortable. I didn't mean to make her feel that way. I know. Alexander remained silent. Victoria asked, How do I fix it? Maya hadn't expected that. She thought for a moment. Start tomorrow. With another course? With breakfast. Victoria frowned. Maya smiled. Ask them what they want. Victoria almost laughed. That's it? No, but it's a start. Alexander's expression softened. Victoria nodded slowly. Breakfast. Breakfast. After she walked toward the lounge, Alexander looked at Maya for a long moment. You didn't attack her. Why would I? Most people who see someone make a mistake are very eager to explain why they would have done better. Maya looked toward Victoria. She did make a mistake. Yes, so did everyone else, including me. Maya hesitated. Alexander smiled slightly. You can say it. You hired someone responsible for your deaf children who cannot comfortably communicate with them. His smile disappeared. Maya immediately wondered whether she had gone too far. Then Alexander nodded. Yes. The admission surprised her. I did. He looked through the glass partition toward Noah and Sophie. I thought organization could compensate for communication. It can't. I'm learning that. Maya studied him. You sign very well. My former wife taught me. Maya noticed his use of former and did not ask questions. He continued. When we separated several years ago, we made one decision immediately. The children would never have to choose between communication styles depending on which parent they were with. Maya nodded. So you learned? I learned before Noah and Sophie were born. That matters. It doesn't feel like enough lately. Maya waited. Alexander folded his hands. The older they get, the more complicated the world around them becomes. That happens to every child. Yes. But for them, every new environment comes with another communication decision. Exactly. He leaned forward. School, sports, camps, restaurants, doctors, travel. Every place requires planning that hearing families don't think about. Maya nodded. Alexander studied her. You understand this very naturally. My cousin taught me. Lena, Maya smiled. You remember. I listen when people speak. The irony of the sentence seemed to reach both of them at once. Alexander looked toward the children. Apparently I still have things to learn about listening. A quiet moment passed. Then he asked, What are you doing tomorrow morning? Maya blinked. Working. What time? 11. Before that? Probably wondering why a billionaire wants to know my schedule. Alexander laughed softly. Fair. He reached into the inner pocket of his jacket. Maya's stomach tightened. If he produced a check, she already knew she would refuse it. Instead, he placed a business card on the table, Whitmore Foundation. Below it was an address in Midtown. I would like you to meet someone. Maya stared at the card. Who? Dr. Elise Warren. She directs our accessibility and education initiatives. Maya looked at him. Why? Because we're developing a program for deaf and hard-of-hearing children. She almost laughed from disbelief. Mr. Whitmore? Alexander. Alexander, I served your children dinner. You did more than that. I translated a conversation. No. His voice remained calm. You demonstrated something my foundation has spent 18 months trying to put into policy. Maya frowned. What? Ask people what they need before deciding what they need. Maya looked down at the card. This feels like gratitude. It isn't. It looks like gratitude. Alexander leaned back. If I wanted to express gratitude, I could pay for dinner, leave an absurd tip and make everyone uncomfortable. That does sound simpler. It would be. He pointed gently toward the card. This is not simple. What exactly are you offering? Nothing. Maya looked up. Nothing. An interview. For what? We'll discuss that tomorrow. That sounds suspiciously like an offer. It isn't. Good. Alexander seemed amused. Why good? Because you don't know me. I know enough to want to know more. That is different. Exactly. Maya studied the card again. The address was 15 minutes from Bellamy House. She imagined walking into a foundation office wearing clothes that had not been purchased for carrying plates. The thought made her nervous. The thought also awakened something she had spent years putting back to sleep. What time? 9. I work at 11. We'll finish by 10:30. You sound very confident. I'm told it's a professional weakness. Maya smiled. She picked up the card. Across the restaurant, Sophie noticed. She immediately signed. What is that? Maya looked toward Alexander. He nodded. So Maya answered. Maybe something new. Sophie smiled. Noah looked over. Then he signed one word. Teacher. Maya's breath caught. She looked at the business card, then back at the boy. Maybe. For the first time in years, the word did not feel impossible. Maya did not sleep well. Not because anything was wrong. Because possibility was noisy. At 5:47 the next morning, she gave up trying and walked into the kitchen of the small Queen's apartment she shared with her parents. The neighborhood outside was still dim. Delivery trucks moved along Roosevelt Avenue. A bus sighed at the corner. From an apartment somewhere above them came the muffled sound of someone preparing for work. Maya started coffee. Her mother appeared 5 minutes later, wearing slippers and a robe. Teresa Santos stopped in the doorway. Why are you awake? Why are you? I'm 61. We wake up before our problems. Maya laughed. Teresa opened the refrigerator. You have work? 11. Her mother turned. Then why are you dressed like you have a job interview? Maya looked down. Dark blue slacks, cream blouse, black blazer. She had spent 20 minutes deciding whether the blazer looked professional or like she was pretending to be professional. Because I might have a job interview. Teresa slowly closed the refrigerator. What? Maya told her everything, not dramatically. She explained the twins, the blue bag, the ASL conversation, Alexander Whitmore, the business card. Her mother listened without interrupting. When Maya finished, Teresa crossed the kitchen and hugged her. Maya stiffened. Mom. What? It's just an interview. I know. You're acting like I won something. Teresa pulled back. No. I'm acting like someone opened a door you stopped knocking on. Maya looked away. Her father entered halfway through the conversation. Rafael Santos had the ability to look fully awake the moment his feet touched the floor, an irritating family mystery Maya had never understood. Teresa told him everything before Maya could stop her. Rafael listened, then he looked at his daughter. Are you going? Yes. Good. That's all. What should I say? I don't know. He opened a cabinet and took down a mug. You usually have a speech. I save speeches for when people are making bad decisions. And this isn't? He poured coffee. No. The certainty in his voice unsettled Maya more than advice would have. What if I'm not qualified? Raphael looked at her. You studied for 3 years. Years ago. You worked with children. A long time ago. You still know ASL. Yes. Then let them decide whether you are qualified. Maya smiled slightly. When did you become reasonable? After you moved out. I moved back in. Exactly, very educational. Teresa laughed. For a while they sat together at the small kitchen table. Nothing about the room looked cinematic. A grocery list was held to the refrigerator with a magnet from Atlantic City. A ceiling light flickered occasionally. Raphael's reading glasses sat beside a stack of unpaid utility bills, waiting for the end of the week. This was the life Maya had chosen to protect years ago. She did not regret it. That realization mattered. She had sometimes told herself that helping her family had taken her future away. Sitting there, watching her father complain about the coffee being too strong while drinking a second cup, Maya understood something more complicated. Nobody had stolen anything from her. She had made a loving decision. Then she had become afraid to make another one. At 8:42, Maya entered the Whitmore Foundation building in Midtown. It was nothing like Bellamy House. No chandeliers, no theatrical luxury. Glass walls, natural light, wide-open workspaces. Artwork created by children covered several walls. A receptionist greeted Maya. "Miss Santos?" "Yes." "Dr. Warren is expecting you." That sentence felt strange. Someone was expecting her. Not for a shift, not because a table needed cleaning. For her. Doctor. Elise Warren was a woman in her mid-40s with short brown hair, practical shoes, and the direct energy of someone who had no interest in wasting time. She shook Maya's hand. "Alexander told me about last night." Maya sat. "I hope he didn't exaggerate." "He usually understates." "That might be worse." Elise smiled. Then she surprised Maya by signing. "Good morning." Maya responded automatically. "Good morning," Elise continued in ASL. "Alexander says you're fluent," Maya answered. "He talks too." "Much," Elise laughed. "Good." They switched between English and ASL during the interview. Elise asked about Maya's education, her work with Lena, her unfinished degree, her experience volunteering at a community center. Then she asked a question Maya was not prepared for. "What would you change about our program?" Maya stared at her. "I haven't seen your program." Elise slid a folder across the desk. "Now you have." Inside were plans for a national initiative focused on communication access for deaf and hard-of-hearing students, mentorship, teacher training, technology grants, parent resources, community partnerships. Maya read silently for several minutes. The work was impressive, professional, extensive, and something bothered her. She flipped backward, then forward. "Where are the kids?" Elise leaned back. "What do you mean?" "The advisory structure." Maya pointed at the document. "You have educators, psychologists, accessibility consultants, school administrators, technology specialists, parents." She looked up. "Where are the deaf students?" Elise smiled, not politely, with recognition. "That," she said, "is why you're here." Maya's heart beat harder. Elise opened another folder. "We are creating a community liaison team. I'm not qualified to lead a team." "I didn't say lead." Maya felt embarrassed. "Right. I said we're creating one." Elise continued. "We need people who understand communication from the ground level, schools, families, students, community organizations." Maya looked at the description. It was an entry-level professional role. Not a miracle, not an executive position. That made it feel real. The salary was better than Bellamy House. The schedule would allow her to return to school. The foundation offered tuition support for employees completing relevant degrees. Maya stared at that line longer than anything else. Elise noticed. "You want to finish." Maya swallowed. "I think so." "That isn't an answer." Maya looked up. Years of caution moved through her. Then something steadier replaced it. "Yes." The word felt almost physical. "Yes, I want to finish." Elise nodded. "Good." At 10:18, Maya walked out of the building carrying paperwork for a second interview. No job yet. No transformation completed, no guarantee, just a real opportunity. On the sidewalk, Manhattan rushed around her. Taxis, bicycles, people holding coffee, someone arguing through wireless headphones, a delivery worker pulling boxes onto a cart. Maya stood still amid all of it. Her phone vibrated, a message from an unknown number. It contained a photograph. Noah and Sophie at breakfast. Victoria sat across from them. Her hands were raised awkwardly. Her sign was imperfect but recognizable. "What do you want?" Below the photograph was a message from Alexander. They made her. "Repeat it 7 times." Maya laughed aloud. Another message arrived. "Sophie says you promised later," Maya typed back. "I did." A third message appeared. "Then I suggest you don't disappoint my daughter. She has a terrifying memory." Maya smiled. She placed the phone in her bag. Then she headed toward the subway. At 11, she still had a restaurant shift. Her life had not changed completely. Not yet. But for the first time in years, She was walking towards something instead of merely maintaining what she already had, and that frightened her. It also felt remarkably like hope. The next 3 days moved slowly and quickly at the same time. Maya worked her shifts. She completed forms for the Whitmore Foundation. She requested transcripts from her former college. She searched degree completion programs online after midnight. Each action was small. Together, they felt enormous. At Bellamy House, almost everyone knew what had happened. Restaurant gossip traveled faster than food orders. Heather cornered Maya near the lockers. So? So what? Are you leaving us to become a billionaire? That isn't generally how employment works. Heather leaned closer. Did they offer you a job? Not yet, but they might. They might. Heather grabbed Maya's shoulders dramatically. Remember me when you have an office. I will remember you when I have a cubicle. I accept. Daniel was more serious. I owe you an apology, Maya frowned. For what? The twins. You didn't do anything. That's exactly it. He looked uncomfortable. I saw them signing. I didn't know what to do, so I talked to Victoria instead. Maya leaned against the counter. You did what most people do. That doesn't make it good. No. What should I have done? Maya thought. Ask. How? Paper, phone, gestures. Find someone who knows ASL. Daniel nodded. I downloaded an app. Maya smiled. An ASL app? I know 6 signs. 6? 7 if you count coffee. Coffee is important. He demonstrated it. Incorrectly. Maya laughed. No. What? You're basically signing something closer to a washing machine. Daniel stared at his hands. That explains the videos I've been getting. Even Brent changed. Not dramatically. He did not apologize the way Daniel had. But 2 days after the Whitmore dinner, Maya saw him adding a note to the staff training schedule. Basic accessibility communication. She stopped. Brent noticed. It was overdue. Maya nodded. Yes. He looked uncomfortable. Then he said, I handled that badly. Maya waited. I was more worried about procedure than people. That happens. I'm supposed to prevent it. Maya said nothing. Brent sighed. Are you going to make me say I'm sorry? No. Good. She started walking away. Maya. She turned. I'm sorry. Her expression softened. Thank you. It would have been easy for the story to make Brent cruel. He wasn't. He was a manager trained for years to avoid disruption. That night had reminded him that sometimes the correct response was disruptive. On Thursday afternoon, Maya received another message from the foundation. Second interview confirmed. Friday, 10 a.m. Her stomach tightened. The meeting was with Elise and 2 members of the program development team. Alexander would not attend. That made Maya strangely relieved. If she earned the role, she wanted to know she had earned it without him in the room. Thursday evening, Noah and Sophie returned to Bellamy House. This time Alexander was with them from the beginning. Maya was surprised. She approached. Back already? Noah signed. Food, Sophie corrected him. Maya. Noah rolled his eyes. Both. Alexander smiled. We're here for dinner. Brent had assigned Maya to their table. She noticed immediately. So, now I'm allowed near the VIP section? Brent pretended not to hear. Alexander did. Was that a problem? Maya smiled. Not anymore. The evening was completely different from the first. Noah ordered for himself. Sophie asked Daniel about dessert in writing simply because she wanted to prove she could. Victoria joined them later. Her ASL was still basic, but she used it, slowly, awkwardly, honestly. Sophie corrected almost every sign. Victoria accepted every correction. At one point she signed thank you backward. Noah laughed so hard he nearly slid from his chair. Victoria laughed too. Maya watched them. People could change quickly when they stopped defending the version of themselves that had made the mistake. Near the end of dinner, Sophie opened her blue sketchbook. She showed Maya several drawings. A school hallway, a city bus. Noah, asleep on a sofa with his mouth open. Alexander carrying grocery bags. Then she turned the page. Bellamy House. Maya stood beside the twins. Her hands were raised. Around them, speech bubbles floated above other people. Sophie had drawn the bubbles as empty circles, but between Maya and the twins were hands, detailed hands, moving. Maya stared at the drawing. Sophie signed. Everyone was talking. Then she pointed at Maya. You were listening. Maya felt her eyes grow warm. Alexander noticed. Sophie has been drawing that since Tuesday. It's beautiful. Sophie pushed the sketchbook toward her. For you. Maya shook her head. No, sweetheart. Keep it. Sophie pushed it again. Take. Maya laughed softly. All right. She carefully removed the page. Alexander watched. Tomorrow is your second interview. Maya nodded. Nervous? Very. Good. She frowned. Good? It means you care. That is a very billionaire thing to say. Alexander smiled. What would a waitress say? That nervous people should drink water and remember to breathe. Probably better advice. Noah looked between them. Job? Maya signed. Maybe. Sophie immediately shook her head. Yes. Maya laughed. You seem very confident. Sophie pointed to herself. Smart. Noah rolled his eyes. Alexander translated unnecessarily. She says she's smart. I got that. Just making sure. Maya looked at him. You don't always have to interpret. The words came out more sharply than intended. Alexander became quiet. Maya immediately regretted it. I'm sorry. No. He looked toward his children. You're right. He signed directly to them. I do that sometimes. Noah nodded immediately. A lot. Sophie held her thumb and index finger far apart. Very much. Alexander looked offended. I'm being attacked at my own dinner. Maya laughed. Then he became serious. Thank you. For criticizing you? For noticing. That answer stayed with Maya. The following morning, she sat in a conference room at the Whitmore Foundation. Elise Warren sat across from her with two colleagues. The interview lasted 70 minutes. They asked difficult questions. What would Maya do if a school resisted recommendations? How would she respond to parents with different communication preferences? How would she organize feedback from children across multiple age groups? She did not know every answer. For the first 15 minutes, she tried to sound like someone who did. Then Elise asked, what would you do if you genuinely didn't know? Maya stopped performing. I would ask the people affected. Elise smiled. Good. From that point forward, Maya answered honestly. She discussed what she knew, admitted what she didn't, explained what she wanted to learn. At the end, Elise closed the folder. We have one concern. Maya's stomach dropped. Your degree isn't complete. I know. The role doesn't legally require completion, but long-term advancement will. I understand. Would you return to school? Maya looked at the three people across from her. A week earlier, she might have said she would consider it. That morning, she answered differently. Yes. When? As soon as I can enroll. Elise nodded. We offer tuition assistance. I saw. You memorized the benefits packet? I was motivated. The panel laughed. Elise slid a sheet of paper across the table. Maya looked down. Employment offer. For several seconds, she forgot to breathe. Community accessibility liaison. Starting salary. Benefits. Education assistance. Start date. She looked back up. I thought this was another interview. It was. And now we're asking whether you want the job. Maya stared at the paper. Her first emotion was not joy. It was fear. Fast and irrational. What if she failed? What if she had forgotten too much? What if the version of herself she once believed in no longer existed? Her hands rested on the table. Then she thought of Sophie. You were the first person tonight who asked us. She thought of Lena at 12 years old, asking why adults spoke around her instead of to her. She thought of the box. Beneath her bed, her unfinished notebooks, her father saying, "Let them decide whether you are qualified." They had decided. Now Maya had to decide whether fear was allowed to decide for her. She picked up the pen. "Yes," Elise smiled. "Yes," Maya signed as she spoke. "Yes." Then she signed it again. "Yes." Stronger, clearer. Elise extended her hand. "Welcome to the Whitmore Foundation." Maya shook it. Something changed inside her. Not because of the salary, not because the name Whitmore appeared on the building. Because for the first time in years, Maya had chosen movement over safety. She stepped outside 20 minutes later. The city seemed exactly the same. Taxi horns, construction noise, steam rising from a street vent, people rushing somewhere important. Maya stood on the sidewalk and called her mother. Teresa answered immediately. "Well?" Maya tried to speak. Nothing came out. Her mother understood anyway. "You got it," Maya laughed, then cried lightly despite herself. "I got it." Teresa shouted something away from the phone. Maya heard Raphael in the background. "What happened?" "She got it. I told you. You didn't tell anyone anything." "I thought it." Maya laughed harder. People walked around her. Nobody knew why the woman standing outside an office building was laughing through tears. For once, Maya didn't care. Then another call came through. "Alexander." Maya answered. "Hello?" "I heard." "That was fast." "Elise is efficient." "I got the job." "I know," Maya smiled. "Thank you." There was a pause. "For what?" "For putting me in the room." Alexander's response was immediate. "I opened a door." Maya waited. "You walked through it." She looked up at the buildings above her. For years, she had thought one decision had closed her future permanently. Now she understood that lives rarely changed through one giant event. They changed through doors. Some closed, some reopened, some appeared where walls had been. And sometimes, Maya realized, the first step through a new door was simply answering when someone tried to speak. Maya's final week at Bellamy House should have felt like an ending. Instead, it felt like an inventory. She noticed everything more clearly because she knew she was leaving. The scratch on the service station that had been there since her first day. The way the kitchen grew unusually quiet 15 minutes before the dinner rush. The handwritten note Heather had taped inside the locker room, reminding everyone that Daniel still owed $6 towards someone's birthday cake. The familiar ache in Maya's feet after 6 hours. The rhythm of folding napkins. The smell of coffee near closing time. For years she had imagined leaving restaurant work as escape. Now that the moment had arrived, she felt gratitude. Bellamy House had not ruined her life. It had paid her bills. It had given her stability. It had introduced her to people who became friends. And strangely, it had become the exact place where she remembered what she wanted. On her last Saturday shift, Heather brought a small paper crown from the kitchen and placed it on Maya's head. "What is this?" "Your retirement crown. I am 30. Professional retirement. I'm going to another full-time job. Please stop destroying the emotional symbolism." Daniel appeared carrying a small cake. Maya stared. "You people know we work in a restaurant that has actual pastry chefs. This came from a grocery store. I can see that. It has character." The icing leaned noticeably to one side. Someone had written "Good luck, Maya" in red frosting. The Y in Maya had nearly fallen off the edge. Maya laughed. Brent came out of his office. "I want everyone to know none of this is happening during paid time." Heather checked the clock. "It is absolutely happening during paid time." Brent sighed, then handed Maya an envelope. She opened it. Inside was a letter of recommendation. Maya looked at him. "I already have the job." "I know." "Then why—" "You might need another one, someday." Maya read the first paragraph. Brent had written about her professionalism, reliability, attention to guests, leadership under pressure. She swallowed. "Thank you. You earned it." Then Brent added, "Also, the accessibility training starts Monday." Maya smiled. "Good." Daniel volunteered to demonstrate ASL. Daniel immediately objected. "I know 9 signs. 10. Heather corrected. You learned bathroom yesterday. Daniel proudly demonstrated it. Maya covered her face. That is not bathroom. What am I saying? Tuesday. Everyone laughed. The farewell was small. Exactly right. Near the end of the evening, Maya served her final table. A family visiting from Ohio, 2 parents, a teenage son, a younger daughter who spent most of dinner drawing horses on the paper beneath her dessert plate. Nothing extraordinary happened. Nobody was famous. No life changed. The family thanked Maya. The father left a reasonable tip. The children argued about who would sit near the window in the taxi. Maya watched them leave. Ordinary. She had learned not to underestimate ordinary things. At 10:54 p.m., she untied her apron for the last time. Heather hugged her. Daniel hugged her. Even Brent hugged her. Though he looked uncomfortable with the concept, Maya stepped outside. The August air was warm. Manhattan shimmered beneath streetlights. She carried the crooked grocery store cake in one hand and Sophie's drawing safely folded inside her bag. Monday morning, Maya arrived at the Whitmore Foundation at 8:20, 40 minutes early. Of course. Elise met her near the elevators. You know normal employees arrive closer to their start time. I'm working on becoming normal. Please don't. Maya received a badge, a laptop, a notebook, a tour. Her desk sat near a window overlooking part of Midtown. Not a private office, not glamorous, just a desk. She loved it immediately. Her first meeting involved 12 people discussing a pilot mentorship program. For 20 minutes, Maya said nothing. Old habits. She listened while administrators discussed recruitment targets, regional partnerships, and program metrics. Then someone suggested distributing a standardized communication preference form to participating families. Maya raised her hand slightly. Nobody noticed. She lowered it. The conversation continued. She felt herself retreating. Invisible was safe. The thought returned automatically. Then Maya looked at her new badge, Community Accessibility Liaison. She raised her hand again. Higher. Elise saw her. Maya? Everyone turned. Her pulse increased. I think the form is useful. A program manager nodded. But? Maya swallowed. But we're asking parents how their children prefer to communicate. Someone frowned. They would know. Usually, Maya continued, but some of these students are 12, 14, 16. The room became quieter. We should ask them too. A woman across the table started writing. Maya continued. And maybe not just with a form. We could create student advisory sessions, video calls, ASL groups, written responses, whatever method works. Elise leaned back. Would you design that? Maya almost said, I can try. Instead, she said, yes. One word. Another door. That afternoon, Alexander stopped by. Not to supervise her. He was meeting the executive director. He saw Maya at her desk. How was day 1? I have been employed for 6 hours. And? I've already disagreed with 3 people. Excellent. I don't think that's what employers want. You disagreed respectfully? Yes. Then excellent. Maya smiled. He noticed the drawing beside her computer, Sophie's picture from the restaurant. You framed it. I did. Alexander looked at it for a moment. She'll be thrilled. How are they? They want to visit. This is an office. They are strangely unimpressed by that argument. Maya laughed. Alexander's expression became more serious. They've talked about that night several times. Maya looked at him. In a good way? Yes. He leaned lightly against the edge of an empty desk. But it made me realize how many situations I've normalized. Maya waited. I thought providing interpreters and good schools meant I had solved communication. You solved access. That isn't the same thing. No. Alexander nodded. They don't want every conversation mediated. No child does. I should have known. Maya studied him. You are allowed to learn while parenting. That sounds suspiciously compassionate. It's my first week. Give me time. He laughed. Then he asked, "Are you coming Saturday?" "Saturday? Noah's science fair." Maya blinked. "He invited you." "He didn't tell me. He assumed I would." "That is very 9-year-old reasoning." "Will you?" Maya thought about it. "Yes." Saturday morning she arrived at the twins' school in Brooklyn carrying nothing except coffee and the uncertainty of whether she belonged there. Sophie spotted her first. "Maya." She ran across the hallway. Noah followed more slowly, pretending he had not also been watching the entrance. His project involved a small vibration-based alert system designed for school desks. He explained it so quickly, Maya had to ask him twice to slow down. Alexander stood nearby. Victoria was there too. She signed good morning to Maya. Correctly. Maya raised her eyebrows. Victoria smiled. I practiced. They spent 2 hours moving between projects. Parents talked. Children demonstrated inventions. Teachers handed out certificates. Nothing extraordinary happened. That was what made it extraordinary. The twins did not need rescuing. Nobody ignored them. They argued with friends, explained projects, asked questions, complained when the cookies ran out. They were simply children. Near the end, Sophie sat beside Maya on a bench in the hallway. She signed slowly. "Do you like your new job?" Maya nodded. "Very much. Better than restaurant." "Different." Sophie thought about that. "Do you miss restaurant?" "A little." "Why?" Maya considered the question. "Because something can be finished and still matter." Sophie nodded as though storing the answer somewhere. Then she asked another. "Are you a teacher now?" Maya looked across the hallway. Noah was explaining his project to an elderly couple. Alexander stood nearby, deliberately allowing his son to handle the conversation himself. Victoria was signing with one of the children's teachers. Maya looked back at Sophie. "Not yet." Sophie frowned. Maya smiled. "But I enrolled yesterday." The girl's eyes widened. "School?" Maya nodded. "I'm going back." Sophie exploded into motion. She grabbed Maya's hands. Then she ran across the hallway toward Noah. Maya laughed. Within seconds, Noah knew. Then Alexander. Then Victoria. Noah signed. From across the room, "Teacher Maya." Maya shook her head. "Not yet." He ignored the correction. "Teacher Maya." Sophie joined him. "Teacher Maya." Alexander smiled. Maya stood in the middle of the school hallway while 2 9-year-olds enthusiastically gave her a title she had once been too afraid to claim. Something inside her became very still. She had believed that returning to her old dream meant returning to the person she had been at 22. She understood now that this was impossible and unnecessary. She was not going backward. She was bringing everything with her. The restaurant shifts, the family responsibilities, the years of uncertainty, the quiet, the disappointment, the maturity she had gained while believing she was standing still. All of it belonged in the person moving forward. She looked at the twins, then raised her hands. "Okay." Noah stopped. Sophie watched. Maya continued. "Maybe someday." Noah grinned. "Soon." Maya laughed. "Soon." Alexander watched. The 3 of them from across the hallway. He said nothing. He didn't need to, because some of the most important changes in a life did not arrive with applause. Sometimes they arrived quietly. A child raised her hands. Someone answered. And a woman who had spent years believing her future was behind her finally understood that it had been waiting ahead all along.